welcome back to the shooting bench. This is the basics of reloading part 2, I guess you could say. And this is where I'm going to show you how to take something that looks like that and turn it into something that looks like this. So, let me little zoom in on that. There you go. Empty to firing. Bullet. Empty case. So let's do this by the numbers. So let's get this repositioned. First and foremost, when you're doing this, you're going to bring your casings home. You're going to want to tumble them and then decap them, which means you're going to knock the primer out and run them through the resizing die, which is this right here. It's a resizing die. It's got a expander in there for the neck and the shoulder, and it's cut to the size that you need it to be to size the outside of the casing, and it looks a lot like something like this for the cutaway. We're doing 223 Remington 5.56. Identically, they're pretty much the same. 5.56 casings are a little thicker. Actual military casings are a little thicker. The primers are crimped in, so you got to swage them out. And the chamber pressure is a little higher. 223 is about 60 to mid-60s, 60,000 psi. And 5.56 ranges from, depending on what country or what manufacturer, is between 60 and low 70,000 psi chamber pressure. However, if you get a 223 cut wild barrel, you can chamber both just fine. Remember, if you have a 5.56 NATO barrel, you can chamber 223 and 5.56 NATO, but if you have a 223 barrel, you run the risk of getting stuck casings in the 223 Remington barrel. It is best just to go to 223 cut chamber. Regardless of rumors and yada yada yada, it doesn't really sacrifice accuracy. Now, let's digress back into the reloading portion. So you've tumbled, you've cleaned, you've decapped, knocked the primers out, expanded the neck, hit it with the sizing die, and we're here. So, for the first timers, what you're going to want to do is you're going to come over here to the book. You're always going to come to the book. And the first thing you're going to want to do with your casings is you're going to want to make sure that they are below the maximum accepted tolerance, which is going to be, it's hard to see even on Zoom, 1.760 for your maximum casing size. So you're going to just start with a pecking order. You're going to turn your calipers on. You're going to make sure that they are zeroed out. And then you're going to bring this up here. You're going to make sure this casing is below 1.760. So this casing is not below that. So this casing needs to get trimmed down, which is not a big deal. You're going to come in here, check it again. 0.73, that's below 7.6. 7.62 again. So we'll set that aside. 7.62. That one is right on the money. And the reason you're checking this casing length is for head spacing purposes in a semi-automatic gun. If you were running a bolt action, you could get away with that 0.002 over, and you'd be 100% fine. 7.40 even. 7.3. But for semi-automatics, you want to be right on the money. That one is way over. That one's over. I must have grabbed these out of the wrong one because I have one bin that is set and they're all already checked. Well, that is, I'm going to have to grab about 10 more and size them up. That's not good. I'll give you guys a little bit better of a view here of what I'm doing. If you notice, I'm spinning it for consistency to 7.5 across the board. Remember, the magic number is 1.760. I'm sorry, a lot of you there. So I need about 10 more, which I'll spare you guys the boredom of. I'll set these aside and I will trim them up later. Okay, so we've got our casings. We've got 10 casings. So what do we do next? So our very next step is you're going to bring everything over here. By the way, I didn't mention this in the other video, but it is very, very important that you have your own chair. A very good chair. Alright, so we're going to come over here to the single stage press. We're going to bring your bullets over here. You're going to break out your primers. Now we're doing, like I said, we're doing 223 Remington /5.56 casings. 300 small rifle primers, series number 300 or 400 is what I recommend from CCI, but you will develop your own flavors for whatever you like, which is fine. Everybody's got their own brands, and I'm not a pusher. I'm not telling you you're doing it wrong. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to show you how to put primers in the primer pockets. So this tool right here is going to be your priming tool for the primer pocket. So how we're going to do this is I'm going to have to move you guys to right here so you guys have a good view of it. Clear the handle. So what you're going to do is this piece comes out just like this. It's also great for deflecting into this over here, right here. When you decap, you leave this in, it deflects the old primer down into the tube, which will fall into your catch bucket or bin or bag or whatever you're going to use. Again, all personal preference. So how do you prime up? You take it, well, first and foremost, you want to make sure that it's clean. Pardon me. Real quick. So to clean this out, you want to make sure there's nothing in there like that. You just pull this down on a spring, take a brush, blow it out. Make sure it's free of debris or else it'll leave odd marks on your primers and then you'll think you're doing something wrong, but in reality, you just got to clean your equipment. Alright, so we're going to take a primer. Small rifle primer, we're going to put it right in the priming pocket, okay? You're then going to lift up on your handle. You're going to make sure that your priming pocket is clean, clear of debris. This one could be a little cleaner, so let me just hit it up on the cleaner real fast. And then, as you can see, we got all of the excess carbon buildup out of there. Already pulled out. I'll show you guys on the next one. But for now, and all you do is just seat it, give it a good firm push in, slide it out, and you're going to make sure it's even across the plane of the top. Should be recessed just a schism, not much at all. So then you just go over here to your shell holder, and then I always like to turn one upside down. That's how I know how I'm doing things. However, I'm going to show you guys how to prep a case real quick because I jumped that step. But before you start doing your primer pockets and all that stuff, we're going to go right over here to the casing prep tool. I am so sorry this video is going to be janky as all get out. However, it's what I got because my camera was broken, my move, and I've yet to get my claim processed. So, things happen. Alright, so we're going to come over here, and what you're going to do to do a case prep, you're just simply going to come over here with your Lyman case tool, or RCBS, or Hornady, or Lee, or whoever you're using, and you're going to take a case. I'll take this case because it's a good one. It's dingy. Now, if your brass looks like this, it's not that big of a deal at all, by any means. It's just, it was exposed to the elements, or, you know, pick your flavor. But dingy brass like this is not a big deal. You can actually tumble it, wet tumble it. Bright shiny again if you want, but dingy brass does not mean bad accuracy. So, this is a case prep station. You have a primer pocket scraper, which scrapes carbon. You've got a primer pocket seeder, which evens everything out. You've got an inner mouth chamfer, which chamfers the inside of the casing mouth to aid in bullet insertion. And then you've got, because this is going to cause a burr on the outside, you have a outside of the casing neck deburrer, and then you polish it all off by one of these. You just do that a couple times. So that's how you use one of these stations. Come in here, scrape the bottom of the case out, it loosened up. It's hard to see on this camera, but it loosened up some of the carbon. And come in here. Sometimes it likes to fight you, especially on swaged brass. And you just give it a little rotational turn with it. And you can see in there that it's starting to shine up, and it's evening the primer pocket out. And you can see it's cleaned up that inside of that primer pocket rather nicely. Then you can come through here, you're going to hit it on this chamfering bit just a little bit, just enough to put a good little, you see that shiny ring on the inside? It's a little chamfer cut. And come through here, you're going to take that burr off. See, took the burr off, it's not there anymore, and then you're going to polish the whole thing off with 2 passes on the brush, and you now have a prepped case. All that looks like in real time. It's really simple. Why are we not playing this? Now, some people's OCD will be like, oh, you should do it in the same order every single time. Yes and no. Just depends on how anal you are, really. Because that's how your primer pockets should look afterwards. Even on the dingy brass, we got it clean. Now, if you have some staining left in there, it's not a big deal. As long as you know for a fact that you've gotten the carbon out. Now, I've had people ask me, well, how necessary is it to do this? And I've heard people ask the question that as well. And you're just like, you know, it's not super necessary if you're not chasing, you know, 1000% accuracy out of your gun. And if you're just making plinking rounds, really, all I would say to do is hit it up with this, hit it up with that, run the brush through it, and then slap a bullet in it. Because if you're not going after a metric ton of accuracy, literally no need to sweat a chamfer on the mouth in deburring the rim. And if you guys are noticing it, I'm turning against the spin to help aid in the cut a little bit, speed it up just a little bit. Break the carbon up. I'm sorry about that. See? A little out of focus. However, I am using my phone because it has a pretty good camera on it. However, there we go. Alright, that's all 10 of these casings that are prepped and ready to go. Then we'll come back over here to this station, the actual press. And again, we'll finish off doing these 10. Take a primer. Drop it in. Make sure it is anvil side up. The anvil side is the explosive side. Now, like I said, dingy brass does not mean bad accuracy. Some people are worried about brass being overly pretty. Now, the other way you can do it is if you just kick the leg out, you can slap the primer in there. And it seats very nice, very easy. Sometimes they take a little bit to seat. Now, if you look, you can see this ring. Let me see if I can't get it zoomed in here for you guys. This right here. There's a ring around the primer on the brass. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to make it out. But this is Lithuanian brass, Lithuanian 556, and it is a pressed primer. And they seat it in there with a pressing tool, and you have to actually swage or drill out that primer ring around there, or just enough of it to loosen up the chamfer that's in there, so you can fit a civilian primer back in there. 556 military brass, actual 556 brass, is divine for reloading purposes. It's a thicker case, you can hold a little more PSI, and they just last a little longer. You can get more hand loads out of them than you can a most normal 223 Remington. A lot of this brass that we are reloading right here is Wolf Gold. It's good ammo, good cheap ammo. I've shot out to 500 yards with it out of my 18-inch AR-15 and connected on every single trigger pull. So I would say it's at least minute of man all the way up to 500 yards. Inside 500 yards, it's pretty much a laser beam. Every gun shoots different. Every gun likes something different. That's a video for another day. Accuracy, practical accuracy versus like competition accuracy. But Wolf Gold brass is amazing for hand loads. All right. Now, if you noticed, I've turned them all upside down so you can see. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to come back over to the book. We're going to find out what type of bullet we're using, and we're going to check a powder weight. So let's go ahead and knock that right out. All right, so for my gun prefers a 62 grain projectile. That's what it prefers. So we're going to come in here, And you're going to see the grain weights for the bullets up here. So what do I have right here? I have a 62 grain boat tail hollow point, otherwise known as an open tip match, because that hollow point is absolutely tiny, but it is an OTM. So we're going to come to the book. You're going to find your grain weight. 60 grain, 62 grain jacketed bullet. 62 grain jacketed bullet. 62 grain Barnes X solid bullet. So how I load is I've looked it up online, and because this book doesn't specifically have open tip match or boat tail hollow point, jacketed boat tail hollow point, I load to, where is it? Oh yeah, it's on this page. 62 grain jacketed bullet. Now I load with CFE 223. Now these are minimum and maximum charges. You got minimum charge of 23.8 and a maximum charge of 25.9. These are safe spec charges. For you novice guys that are just getting into it, I would say absolutely stick inside these realms. Can you go below 23.8? Yes. Are you going to risk getting a SWIB load? Most of you guys run a 16-inch barrel out of an AR-15. Most likely not. Well, not until you start getting down into the teens and really reducing that charge. 25.9, that's when you start getting into higher pressure spikes. And basically, if you're running a standard weight barrel, I would not go past 25.9 for you novice guys until you learn your gun really, really well. And this is where safety comes in. So stick to the numbers provided. Now, we know our weight charge, which is going to be, my gun likes 25.9. How you guys should load if you're doing this for the first time and you're looking for a certain accuracy and you know that your gun likes a certain grain weight projectile, is you find the powder that you want to use or a powder that you bought, and what you do is a ladder. So you start with 23.8, and how I would do it is you go up by 0.5 grains. So 23.8, then you'd have 24.3, then 23.8, or excuse me, 24.8, then 25.3, and then I would just jump right to 25.9. Go out, load 10 of each, shoot 2 strings of 5. That's if you're chasing accuracy, like for a target gun. 5-shot groups or tattletales, they really let you know what your gun's going to do, especially when it starts to get warm. If you're just hunting and you're looking for an extremely practical load, like out of a cold bore gun, 3-shot groups will do you just fine. So, we know what our safe max is. 25.9. My gun, we know my gun likes 25.9. So let's load. How do we do that? How do we get the powder into the bullets in a normal way? Well, we're going to come over here to the powder dispensary area of my bench. Let's get that off the table. Let's get this out of the way. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to break out a secondary scale and turn your powder dispenser on at the same time. Clear your scales off all the time. Let it self time down. And we're going to go calibrate. Now, for this Frankfurt Arsenal scale right here, let me center you guys a little bit on this. Get a little bit more of a zoom. What we're going to do is we're going to zero these to the same. So to zero this, you're going to hold down units until it flashes calibrate. It's going to go into calibration mode. It's flashing. So it's asking for 50 grams. I'm just going to put it on there until it says pass. And this comes in 0.005 under 50. Okay. This wants to calibrate to 0. So hit calibrate for 0. It's asking for 50. Why is there powder just randomly falling out of my shit? Oh, the joys of having an auto powder dispenser. 50. Calibrate. Now it's asking for 100. Calibrate. It calibrates properly if you see the numbers move. So now we're going to put this pot on here. You're going to go to the units that you want, which are going to be grains, and you hit tare to 0. And you come over here, you're going to hit 0. So this read 95.0, this read 49.8. See the spare discrepancy between the two? God, I cannot speak today. So for an auto powder dispenser, we're going to go 25.9, and you're going to hit go. At the same time, you're going to bring your bullets back over here, your casings over here. And remember, this is a one step at a time process. All right, we got 25.9. We got 25.9. They agree with each other this time. Interesting. So you put that on there. You wait for it to 0 again. And then it's just a matter of waiting. But you always want to at least double check your charge with a second scale. 25.9. You have to have a margin tolerance as well. So my margin tolerance between these two scales is no greater than 0.2 of a grain. So I'm going to pause it here, finish filling this up because this is actually the longest part, and then I'll bring you back over and show you how to properly seat and then crimp your bullets. Okay, so this video is getting long, as I can see, and I don't have my editing tools, so all the casings, as you can see, are now right there. They are loaded. The book is still out, and I will explain why. We've got 2 steps left, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to load a couple, pause the video, bring it back, show you how to crimp properly, so on and so forth. So, to load, take your casing. Full of powder, right? Full of powder. You can see it in there. Nice silver line. Everything's chamfered. Primer's in well. So what you're going to do, at this point, you can actually remove this piece because I need to clean that. We don't need it anymore, really. And you bring the casing all the way down. So on, just like that. You can bring your bullet. So these bullets, so we can get a good look at them. So those lines on those bullets, that is called a cantilure. And it actually is helping the bullet go down the barrel. It's not a reloading mark. It's not something you need to reach. It's just built into the bullet to aid in accuracy. Right there. So, come back out. I'm sorry this video is running long. However, this is how we bring it up. You bring it all the way back down, seat it. And that is one loaded bullet. Oh. Well, stupid things happen all the time, as we just found out. So we'll set that one aside because I moved it too fast. Just like that. What you want to do is when you put the casing in, put the bullet in, you want to make sure it's perpendicular to the case. Help feed it up. Bring it back down. And again, we have another one. So I'm going to pause it and I'll bring it back to when we're crimping. Alright, so we're back and we're going to remove our seating die. We're going to put in our crimp die. Now, I didn't explain how to adjust these dies, but basically what you're going to want to do, especially for the crimp die, is before you crimp anything as well, you're going to come back to your book and you're going to look for your maximum casing length. Now for 223, it is 2.260. So we'll come back to your old trusty rusty calipers. Make sure they're zeroed out. And as long as all of your bullets, like this one here, is at 2.250, this one here is at 2.255, this one here is at 2.495, so on and so forth. You just check them all. Now I know these are all going to be within spec because I have done this a lot, and these dies are set. In fact, this one's set with red Loctite. So we're going to screw our seating or our crimping die down. And how you seat this and check for depth is you're going to bring your casing all the way up, just let the handle go down, and you come on down until you feel it tension. So you got a little bit of tension right there. I'm good. So then if I seat it all the way down with one full, you're going to get about 3/4 of a turn past, because this nut is preventing me from going any farther because it's already preset. You can come back out, you can push down, just a little push, and you're going to get a fine little crimp all the way around. See that little line there in the brass? Your crimp, that's all you need, just a skosh. And all that does is seat the bullet in place permanently until it's fired. Now, is it necessary to crimp every single bullet? Absolutely not. If you're just making plinking rounds, you don't need to do that. But this is to help keep everything nice and tight and in line, and it does aid in accuracy. So again, there's the crimp line. You can just make it out, and you can see it right below the cantilever there. That little line in the brass. That's your crimp mark. That's all you need. And it will permanently seat the bullet in place. I am so sorry about my camera work. So that is a step-by-step basic entry into how to reload. There's nothing overly fancy here, nothing overly complex, but that is from start to stop, empty casing to a properly sized casing length, overall length of the bullet as well. Always keep your book out on the bench. Always make sure you're double checking your powder measurements, especially when you're new at this, and don't overcharge it. I'm sorry about the length on the video, but I will let everybody go. You guys have a good day and enjoy.